Callie? Hi, welcome to North of 48. It's March 15th. Sorry about that. I had to run around and get my dog. She's underneath my desk and behaving herself. So it's plus 9 here in Alberta. I hope you're warm. It's about 60 something Fahrenheit. I forget. I can't do the math. I'm not a math wizard. We got two parts today. We're gonna talk a little bit about the Ukraine, then we're gonna talk about politics, and that's Joe and Trump. It looks like they clinched the nominations for each party. So we're going to talk a little bit about them and try to come up with an answer on who's best to lead the USA. Chances are the answer is none of them, but we'll see. Today marks 752nd day of the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, the illegal invasion. There is a Belgorod incursion, and Belgorod's in Russia on the border of Ukraine, and it appears that centering its third day, Ukrainian-based anti-Putin militants launched a multi-pronged series of raids while the city of Belgorod was targeted by Ukraine drones. The drones actually hit 5 refineries in Russia, putting them down to about 20% of their refining capacity. And Russia's getting a little taste of their own. I noticed, though, that it's all military targets. It's the FSB headquarters in Belgorod, or the refineries, or airplane hangars. Our daily intelligence update is as follows. Russian forces continue to prosecute attacks along several areas of the front line. Russia is focusing operations west of Avdiivka and Marinka, towns both in the Donetsk Oblast. These axes account for 60% of reported Russian attacks in the last 4 weeks. However, the average number of weekly Russian ground attacks has been reduced by 13% since late February 2024, when the weekly average reached 600 attacks. Russia seized control of Avdiivka and several villages west of the town in February, but advances have been slowed since. It's highly likely that the overall situation will be challenging for Ukrainian forces in coming weeks, with Russia continuing to regenerate forces and carry out attacks on priority axes. Mr. Johnson, your legislature chief in the House of Congress, has agreed to bring the Ukraine defense bill, totaling about $60 billion, as a standalone bill to be voted in the House of Congress. Chances are you're going to need Democrat votes to do anything about it. I have a short video clip that we'll bring up about what's happening across the border. Just give me 2 seconds here. Oh. Well, I guess I can't. Oh, yes, I can. So just bear with me. A good guy would have had all this done so you could see it and have it at his fingertips. I guess I'm not all that good a guy, but we try hard. Video. You know what? Maybe we'll just skip the video. I think so. Sorry about that. So I like this meme. I found it on our Discord. If you care to be part of our Discord, my email's in the notes. Send me a email message. We'll send you a link to the Discord and to the Zoom audience. The only thing's easier to buy in America than a gun is a Republican. I just found that humorous, that's all. So what do I want to tell you about the Ukraine invasion? Ukrainian-based anti-Putin militants launched a series of raids in the Belgorod region. And one of the volunteer corps is based in Siberia, believe it or not, people from Siberia. And they announced the opening of a humanitarian corridor on the border between Ukraine and Russia, and asked for people to leave, and that after an hour, they will carry out a massive attack. So things are heating up there. They've hit a third Russian refinery in escalating drone attacks at the Ryazan refinery caused by a drone attack. Putin said the Ukrainian campaign aims to interfere with the election because the elections are going on in Russia right now, which is how much you bet that Putin probably wins. It's probably a good thing. So who are the freedom fighters of Russia and other rebel groups? Well, Moscow calls them Ukrainian terrorist formations. Ukraine disavows any relationship with them, other than the fact that they're running Ukrainian tanks and Ukrainian weapons, but they're all Russians. It's the Freedom of Russian Legion, which was formed in the spring of 2022. And it posted a video saying its fighters are going into Russia on tanks. There's a Siberian battalion. Russia's indigenous peoples frustrated at racism in Russia, and they're fighting against Putin's government, and they were recruited last October. Then there's the Russian Volunteer Corps. It was founded by Denis Kapustin, a far-right Russian nationalist, in August of 2022, and comprises Russians who have been fighting for Ukraine against their own country. So Russia appears to be getting a little tit for tat. And sorry, I was waiting for a guest to show up. He's obviously not going to show up, or he's going to be late. So we're just going to get right to it. Our mission today is talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump. So let me share the screen. So the latest polls are showing at the end of March 13th that Biden was 42% and Trump was 48%. The Pennsylvania Emerson College one is Biden at 40% and Trump at 44%. So they're all over the map there, but it looks to be the only one I see that has Biden winning is a civics poll done by the Daily Costs at 45% for Biden and 44% for Trump. Oh, man. So let's take a look at, so this is Trump's website, Trump 2024. Obviously, there's a contribution tag on the front, and his tagline is, "They're not after me, they're after you. I'm just standing in the way." Donald Trump. And then the MAGA movement. The American way of life is under attack while career politicians destroy our economy and sabotage our nation's incredible potential. They want to take their country back. Joe Biden's page is the same. Hey, there's a donation thing there. Imagine that. And together we can finish the job for the American people. And then there's a I'm on board. But here's the thing, is I was not able to find out what his promises are this year. There's nothing on here. for it. But what we're going to do is we'll take a quick look at Biden's one commercial on his page.
Freedom, personal freedom, is fundamental to who we are as Americans.
There's nothing more important, nothing more sacred.
That's been the work of my first term, to fight for our democracy.
This shouldn't be a red or blue issue.
To protect our rights, to make sure that everyone in this country is treated equally and that everyone is given a fair shot at making it. But you know, around the country, MAGA extremists are lining up to take on those bedrock freedoms, cutting Social Security that you paid for your entire life while cutting taxes for the very wealthy, dictating what health care decisions women can make, banning books, and telling people who they can love, all while making it more difficult for you to be able to vote. When I ran for president 4 years ago, I said we're in a battle for the soul of America, and we still are. The question we're facing is whether in the years ahead we have more freedom or less freedom, more rights or fewer. I know what I want the answer to be, and I think you do too. This is not a time to be complacent. That's why I'm running for re-election. Because I know America. I know we're good and decent people. I know we're still a country that believes in honesty and respect and treating each other with dignity. That we're a nation where we give hate no safe harbor. We believe that everyone is equal, that everyone should be given a fair shot to succeed in this country.
Thank you for choosing us.
Every generation of Americans has faced a moment when they have to defend democracy. Stand up for our personal freedom. Stand up for the right to vote and our civil rights. And this is our moment.
We, the people, will not decide. God love you.
So if you're with me, go to joebiden.com and sign up. Let's finish this job. I know we can. Because this is the United States of America. There's nothing, simply nothing we cannot do if we do it together.
Well, I don't think it hits as hard as a Bernie Sanders commercial, but in the interest of free, fair play, I guess we should show one with Mr. Trump, because why not? And this is him talking about Hillary Clinton and how she cleaned a hard disk.
Said there's no, I don't care, Andrew Jackson or anybody else, nobody has, when you think of the fake things, nobody's been treated like Trump in terms of badly. Russia, 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 Ukraine, 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 everything was a scam. And it literally starts the new one. As you win one, you start the other. Impeachment hoax number one, impeachment hoax number two, all hoaxes and scams. But when you see that the way they released him, and they say, we're going to release him, it was egregious what he did. But by the way, they released Hillary Clinton. She hammered her phones. She used all sorts of acid testing and everything else. They call it bleach pit, but it's essentially acid that will destroy everything, you know, within 10 miles. I mean, what she did was unbelievable. Nothing happens to her. Nothing happens to Bill Clinton. He took it out in his socks. You know, it was the famous socks case, which he actually ended up winning. So
Yeah, so that was Donald. Fair play is fair play. He said Hillary destroyed phones using acid that would destroy everything within 10 miles. So there you go. So I'm a little bit under the weather, which is probably why my performance is as it is. But let's go. 15 promises Donald Trump has made so far in this campaign for a second term. Let's talk about that. Immigration. He's made it a central campaign issue. And he helped pressure Republicans to reject a major bipartisan border deal last month that had Israel and Ukraine aid and Taiwan aid all hooked onto it. And he touts his previous hardline immigration policies. Drug cartels. He said he's going to wage war with the drug cartels. And it'll be a priority for his second term. Education. He announced plans to close the Department of Education and send all education and education work and needs back to the states. We want them to run the education of our child because they'll do a much better job of it, he added. Healthcare. Last November, Trump promised to replace the Affordable Care Act. Now, every Republican I know in the history of Republicans has promised to replace the Affordable Care Act. And in a series of posts on Truth Social, he says the Trump-backed effort to repeal and replace Obamacare that failed in 2017 won't fail again. You're going to get much better health care than Obamacare for the American people. It will be a priority of the Trump administration. It's not a matter of cost, it's a matter of health. No, it's a matter of cost. That's why you guys don't have Medicare for everyone. He's talking about gender care. He's going to revoke every Biden policy promoting the chemical castration and sexual mutilation of our youth and ask Congress to send him a bill prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. I take it that has something to do with the trans population, is what he's saying, instead of any religious connotations. He said he would issue an executive order instructing federal agencies to cut programs that promote gender transitions, as well as making Congress to stop the use of federal dollars to promote and pay for gender-affirming procedures. In the justice system, which he has shaped with his judges, his picks, he's promised to use the Department of Justice to attack critics and former allies. Oh, freak. He's also laid out plans to gut the current justice system by firing radical Marxist prosecutors that are destroying America. Now, anybody who knows anything about Marxism knows that there's probably not one Marxist prosecutor in the United States. It's just fear-mongering. He's going to appoint a real special prosecutor to go after the most corrupt president in the history of the United States, Joe Biden, and the entire Biden crime family. He will totally obliterate the deep state. Boy, he's got some promises here. Crime. Trump said in a 2023 campaign video that if Marxist prosecutors refuse to charge crimes and surrender our cities to violent criminals, he will not hesitate to send in federal law enforcement to restore peace and public safety. He's going to instruct the Department of Justice to open civil rights investigations into radical left prosecutors. He also added that he would require law enforcement agencies that receive money from his funding investment or the Department of Justice to use common sense measures such as stop and frisk. Foreign policy. So here we go. He's continued his attacks against member countries of NATO. At a South Carolina rally last month, Trump said he would not abide by the alliance's collective defense clause and would encourage Russia to do whatever the hell they want if a member country didn't meet spending guidelines. NATO was busted until I came along, Trump said. Everybody's going to pay. Well, if we don't pay, are you still going to protect us? They had said. I said, absolutely not. They couldn't believe the answer. New cities and flying cars. Trump has said in multiple campaign videos he would spearhead an effort to build so-called freedom cities to reopen the frontier, reignite American imagination, and give hundreds of thousands of young people and other people, all hardworking families, a new shot at home ownership, and in fact, the American dream. He's going to charter 10 new cities on federal land, awarding them to areas with the best proposals. He added that the U.S. under a second Trump administration would lead in efforts to develop vertical takeoff and landing vehicles for families and individuals, not letting China lead this revolution in air mobility. Electric vehicles. He's promised to roll back new car pollution rules at the EPA that would require electric vehicles to account for up to 2/3 of new cars sold in the U.S. by 2032. In energy, he's promised to reduce energy prices by increasing domestic production, much like Obama did in trade. At the same rally in South Carolina, he promised to impose stiff penalties on China and other trade abusers. It's called "You Screw Us and We Screw You," Trump said. The economy. One thing about the economy in the U.S. right now, apparently it's at its strongest height. I don't know if the people, us people, the poors who are on the bottom, can necessarily say that it's the best economy, but the fat cats on Wall Street can most certainly say it's one of the best economies they've ever had. But he's going to make Trump tax cuts the largest tax cut in history. He's also promised to repeal Biden's tax hikes, and he will tackle inflation and Biden's war on American energy production. The Second Amendment. He will take Biden's executive order directing the federal government to target the firearms industry and will rip it up and throw it out on day one. He's also promised that the government would not infringe on citizens' Second Amendment rights. He would push Congress to pass a concealed carry law. Equity. He'll create a special team to rapidly review every action taken by federal agencies under Biden's equity agenda that will need to be reversed. He would revoke Biden's equity executive order that required federal agencies to deliver equitable outcomes in policy and conduct equity training. If elected, he would also fire staffers hired to implement Biden's policy and then reinstate his 2020 executive order banning racial and sexual stereotyping in the federal government. So I see Rick's not here yet, eh? So that's part of Trump's agenda. I think it would be fair, since Joe doesn't have any promises out there other than probably on political and stuff. Nothing on his on Trump's on Biden's on Biden's website. Sorry. So let's take a look at Biden's son then. How about that? So Hunter is actually on trial for gun charges set for June 3rd. This was not something I realized he was going to be on trial for gun charges. Gun-related charges, a federal judge said, will be June 3rd. So the special counsel, David Weiss, has brought 3 gun-related charges against Hunter Biden last year after a plea agreement, which covered the gun case as well as a tax case against him, which fell apart during a hearing last summer. Hunter has been charged with unlawfully purchasing a revolver while using illicit drugs, lying on federal forms about his drug use when he bought the weapon. Wow, what a bad guy. prosecutors believe their case will last 3 to 4 days, and Hunter's attorneys expect their case to potentially go over 2 days. He's pleaded not guilty to the charges. He also faced 9 tax-related charges in California over a conspiracy across several years to avoid paying $1 million in taxes. We're trying to get something as soon as we can, the judge said. I haven't completely figured out what I'm going to do with all of them. So, which brings us, so my first question to the panel or anybody in the audience is, does Hunter Biden's his reputation reflect on his dad? Is that going to harm him this election?
I would say no, not in the least bit. The people who are angry about Hunter Biden are the people who would never vote for Joe Biden anyway.
Yeah, because it's not about Hunter. Like, no one really gives a fuck about Hunter Biden.
Really? So you don't think it's
found cocaine in the White House.
Pardon me?
They found cocaine in the White House.
Yeah, Bill left that there. I'm pretty sure.
Under Joe.
Oh, you're breaking up.
Okay.
Yeah, as I was saying, I don't think it's going to have any effect on the outcome one bit.
No.
No.
Okay. So everybody's
people who
going. So what are you all thinking, that it's just something the Republicans are doing, or it sounds like Hunter did do a couple of things bad that brought him to court, because those were Democratic attorney general that brought the case to court, right?
Well, the gun charge thing is weird because according to Republicans, gun charges shouldn't exist. But also, like, that's pretty much impossible to prove that, you know what I mean? Because what they're saying is like, well, no, we know you were using illicit drugs because everyone's talking about it. You know what I mean? But you can't really prove at the time. You know what I mean? Unless they like drug tested him at the time. You know, you can't prove that. So
yeah, so it's going up to court there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Joe Biden.
Go ahead.
Hunter Biden isn't running for president, and Joe Biden is. And also the other guy, I think his name's Donald Trump. I believe he's actually being charged with crime. So I would worry less about the crimes charged of the son of the guy running for the president, and more about the crimes charged with the guy running.
Do you remember Billy
Carter?
Yeah, Billy Carter, Billy Bear.
Yeah.
No,
I also don't think that Billy Carter cost Jimmy Carter the election.
No, he didn't. He did not.
No.
He did not. Actually, he was probably thought of as lovable, having someone like that as his brother trying to make money. It's a regular
That's
guy.
the kind of thing about the Hunter Biden stuff. It only makes Hunter Biden look cool. It doesn't. If it does anything, it hurts them. But
Right.
it is a thing. It's a thing that they can say because they can, it's just words to fill up space.
True. And
I was going to say that, like, Donald Trump was actively being impeached during his re-election campaign, and it made no difference. He got more votes than his previous election. So I don't think that the criminal charges against any of these men, be they son or candidate, make a hill of beans of difference to voters.
You may be right. So you weren't here, but I showed the polls, and in all but 2 of them, Trump seems to be ahead of Biden in the poll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd heard
we're talking
about
within the plus minus ratio of
Sure.
error, right? So
sure.
They're pretty well neck and neck.
Yes, I think this is a 50-50 election at this point. But tie goes to the runner, meaning the incumbent should win this.
Well, depending on turnout, right? Like, to me, that's the whole thing. If it's high turnout, Biden will win. If it's low turnout, Trump will win. It's, and it's not looking good for high turnout at the moment.
I don't think so. I think that,
No.
and I've been saying this for a while, but I think the kitchen table issues are the single most motivating factor. And if people look at 4 years ago, they could afford their bag of groceries was $100 and now it's $200. They're either going to not vote or they're going to vote for the other guy. The guy who they remember was in office when their grocery bag cost them $100.
True.
I'm voting for Trump.
Max, what's one vote for Trump?
Well, Trump thinks Lexi is poisoning the blood of America, and thinks her dad speaks languages from Mars, which is what he
Joe
fucking said.
Biden is an old fossil that sniffs kids and cocaine.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, and Trump is rumored to be using pharmaceutical pills, right?
Oh no, there's no doubt that Trump does drugs
Yeah.
in the White House, outside of the White House, in Mar-a-Lago. Like he does those drugs for sure. But nobody's
I mean, I
elected
could
him for his
imagine-
moral. No one ever elected him for his moral character. That's not what he's. These people are looking. They're looking for someone who will do their Republican bidding. They don't care about his character.
Yeah. No, and what I'm saying is not about Trump's character. I'm saying there are people who wish Lexi did not exist. And if they had their way, she wouldn't. And those are the people Donald Trump listens to. That's like, yeah. It's not like, oh, Trump's a good person. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if they're good people. You know what I mean?
No, I don't
care.
know that. I don't know that
Effect
Joe
of the
Biden's a
policy.
good person either. That's
I don't think
irrelevant.
he is. I don't think he is.
I think it's
I
irrelevant.
think he's-
Will he do my
Yeah.
bidding? That's the question.
Right.
And I don't
Or-
believe Joe Biden will do my bidding.
Like, no. Well, it's what enemy would you rather fight? You know.
Well,
So,
I
I
think
don't
what
That's a great question.
If you're a Joe Biden fan,
Yeah, I don't know.
I think you have to look at the numbers saying, what the heck? How come, Joe, you're so far behind Donald Trump? Because Donald Trump has come out and said the most ludicrous things about taking away Social Security and about changing the Medicare. Why isn't Trump in the 30s? Why is he so high? It's my
Biden
question.
fucking sucks.
Yeah, I think
I-
once again it comes down to those kitchen table issues. People are suffering out here. Period.
And like
They're paying-
anything good,
yeah.
the fucking Democrats did do, they stopped doing it.
Yep.
So, what the fuck?
Like Trump could just point at the child tax credit and be like, "Why'd you stop doing that?"
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Well,
I don't plan to re-implement it, but why did you stop doing it?
Yeah, yeah, of course not.
yeah.
But yeah,
So what about his he says because he has shoes on the market now, black people who will like him running shoes. And here's a picture of Kanye and Trump having a little snuggle.
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Do you think he's going to make inroads with the African American or Mexican population of the United States?
I think for the African Americans, I think he'll draw about what he did before, which is roughly 8 to 10% vote for Republicans. It's been pretty consistent for the last 50 years, 60 years ever since the Civil Rights Movement. The Hispanic vote, on the other hand, entirely up for grabs. I think they're as likely to be conservative as they are to be Democrat. And I think that it looks to me like, Trump's wall rhetoric has been tamped down somewhat this campaign cycle. So
It has. He's not as nuts, right?
he certainly just isn't. He isn't making the wall a brand of his like he did before.
It's in that Project 2025 though. All that shit is in there. But yeah, no, we haven't heard
And
a
he's
lot
not-
from him.
He didn't announce his campaign by calling Mexicans rapists and murderers this time around.
Right.
That's a
Put it down.
way to go, Trump. Hey,
No, he just accidentally quoted Hitler.
You're asking the right-
When he was asked about Gaza and Israel, he said he would end it in one day. That's better than Joe
meaning
Biden.
he would kill everyone.
Yeah, I don't.
That's not him
They
actually
also
saying
asked
anything.
him what
No,
side
that
he
doesn't mean
thought
anything.
would win, which side he is on, and he wouldn't give an answer. He said, "I want people to stop dying." He didn't
Yeah, of
capture
course he wouldn't give an
Israel like
answer.
Joe Biden did.
Okay, your microphone's really bad, Lexi.
Well, I'm hearing
Well,
it just fine.
No, Trump did. Trump did. He did. And he fucking moved the embassy to Jerusalem. And he gave the Golan Heights to Netanyahu, all of which set the stage for this. Like, and he said Netanyahu was like his personal friend. He called him BB. And fucking Jared Kushner sat on his lap when he was a kid. So,
Well,
no.
after the
Trump-
election of Joe Biden, when Netanyahu congratulated him, he came out and said, "Fuck Bibi."
Yeah, I'm sure he did. And
I don't
so
think
fucking what? That
Trump's-
doesn't mean anything.
I don't
says
think
that
Trump's
about
stance on
everyone.
Israel. Yeah, I don't think any campaign issue, any stance he takes, it's
End it one
irrelevant
day
to
means
whether.
kill everyone. He means no. Everyone would just be fucking dead. I would send a fucking nuke to Gaza and kill them myself. That's what end it in one day means. And again, in that fucking Project 2025, he talks all kinds of genocidal shit.
Man, Jake's on fire.
I'm sorry, it pisses me off. Like, all of it. I'm pissed at all these fucking people right now.
Well, you have every right to be, Jake. You're not given much choice, even if the president makes that much difference in your life, and it's hard to say whether they do or do not.
Right?
You're being given the worst choice.
Yeah.
Couple of mobsters. That's what you're saying, Rick?
I mean, I guess you could simplify it to that. I think that it's more just American empire and American power, and
it's just as far as the genocide goes. No matter what president becomes president, it will continue. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. Like Bernie could be president. It wouldn't matter. It'll continue. That's I think what pisses me off.
Well, I gotta say that Trump's criticism of Netanyahu and saying that he was deeply ill-prepared, his intelligence led to the lack of counterintelligence, led to the attack of Hamas, and blood is on his hands. I haven't heard that type of criticism from any of the Democrats on Joe Biden's administration. So fuck Joe Biden. I don't care what he's awful. At least Trump has some sort of fiery criticism of the current Israeli government instead of just wanting to send them billions of dollars. It's ridiculous.
But no, that is exactly what Trump did. That's what I'm saying. You can't be like, oh, well, Trump's better. He wasn't. We had him. We did this already.
Times have changed, Jake. This is 2024. Quit looking at the past. You got to look forward to the future.
Well, isn't Donald Trump the past?
Why would his policy? He just not said it would be different.
Isn't Joe Biden the past?
I've been asked about this.
Make the same argument. You see, Trump's not a politician.
Okay, one at a time, people. One at a time. I see the passions. There's passion here. I like that.
However, no, he is a politician. He was the president.
Yeah, he's definitely a politician now.
Now he is, but back then he wasn't.
Yeah. Well, we're not
now
looking
he
at the
has.
past.
Now he knows
We're
where he
looking at the
wants to
future.
go.
And Hillary's not his opponent this time around.
No,
So
his
you have-
opponent's much weaker.
I don't know.
His opponent is much weaker than Hillary was.
I mean, maybe, yeah.
I think his reputation is stronger than Hillary's.
Yeah, she was like particularly bad just because, of all the years of like books and shit people write about.
Well, she was such a bad candidate and she lost to Donald Trump. But Joe, is he an equally bad candidate because he's losing a few points behind Trump? Now, why is that a thing? Why isn't Trump ahead? Like Hillary says, why isn't she 30 points ahead, or in this case, he, right?
Why isn't Biden 30 points ahead? It's all because
Yeah.
of his. It's because it has everything to do with the Biden economy, the inflation effect, the lack of wage growth, and then the ending of programs that he started, like the child tax credit. Like,
Well, did
And
everybody
I
get their
think-
student loans paid off?
no one got their student loans paid off. No,
yeah,
you know,
dangled that in front of our face. Fucking
Roe
took it
versus
away.
Wade got ended under Joe Biden
Because of Trump's judges.
definitely because of Trump's judges. But who's the president? Who was the guy running saying, "I'm going to protect your rights"?
Yeah.
Okay, good point. Not used to you
Yeah.
making a good point, Rick. I have to soak this in.
You better watch out. I've got at least two more.
Two more good
Well-
points. You know who,
Well, no,
who we
because-
haven't heard from is Forrest. Forrest, do you have nothing to say on this matter at this time?
Yeah, give us hell.
No, I guess not. Well, we're not going to wait for you, Forrest. You're either going to talk or you're not. Or Dave. You know, we have a full attendance in the Zoom room today, people. We're going to figure out who Americans are going to vote for, or who they're not going to vote for.
In this election,
I
there's going to be
think-
one winner, one loser, but the real winners are the listeners to North of 48 podcast.
That's true.
I can't. I won't argue with you there, buddy. That's two good points today.
There we go. And I'm out.
Put it on the board.
So well, here's the whole thing is America screwed?
Yes.
Because what happens in America affects us up here in Canada.
Definitely.
It affects us. It affects Europeans. It affects the Africans, the Israels, the Gazans, the Palestinians. Everywhere in the world, who you elect for president will affect some part of the world. You know?
Yeah. Like I wonder. Sorry, just to go back a minute.
Sure.
To like, why isn't Biden? You know, if you're running against Trump, yeah, you should be fucking 30 points ahead.
You would
But
think.
like, and the stuff Rick said, but like, I wonder if the genocide in Gaza is having. I'd like to think it is. Like people are. That's part of the reason why it has like no support. But I don't know.
Well, I think that's really tricky for Joe, right? Especially in Michigan with a huge Muslim population. Will he get the votes out of Detroit and Michigan?
Yeah, and it's
as a result.
kind of like Pennsylvania too. Pennsylvania's a big fucking state.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people in
But
Pennsylvania.
I mean, if you look at it, who does Trump support in this? Well, he supports Bibi, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you change horses,
Well, yeah.
It's going to be the same.
Yeah. No, it will be the same. But just, I don't know.
Probably actually worse. I think Trump would be worse on the issue. But he'll solve it within 24 hours.
Just my little, it's my hope in humanity. Not so much for the candidates or anything like that, but just
right.
That people give enough of a fuck to like withhold their vote. You know what I mean? For that, at the very fucking least, or at least say it, and like there's a difference between what people, pundits and shit say publicly. You know what I mean? And all that. I don't know. I'm just rambling.
No, that's very true. So these promises, so Donald Trump's, we went through the promises that he's made so far in this campaign for a second term. Of course, Rick wasn't here for that.
Well, I have a big idea of what he's promising.
Right. So I think one of the things is he says for the drug cartels, he's going to wage war against the drug cartels, maybe much like the Philippines did against the drug cartels. If you sell drugs or own drugs, they shoot you in the Philippines. Apparently. But he's
Look,
vowed
if you
to
want
take
to end
down the drug cartels by imposing naval embargoes on cartels, cutting off their access to global financial systems, and using special forces. Now, that's actually a promise a lot of people can get behind, I would suggest.
It's an ineffective promise. The only way to get rid of the drug cartels is to modify or eliminate U.S. drug law.
Stop all the guns from America going to Mexico. You'd have to stop that first.
No, just end look. If you eliminate the black market, then you eliminate the black market suppliers.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I that's always the thing that kills me when I hear people talk about, like, oh, the cartels, they can't do anything because they got all these guns. Like, where do you think they got the fucking guns from, dummy?
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
Trump's gonna fight.
It's a
Trump
big
will fight
problem
fire.
in Mexico.
Trump will fight
American
fire with
guns.
fire. A lot of people will die, but the drugs will continue to flow into the country at the same rate or greater than they are.
Like, well, up here in Canada, we've legalized cannabis. However, according to some people I know who use cannabis, they said it's still cheaper going to their dealer.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to his education plan then. If you don't mind. In fact, I'm going to put it up right here. So he wants to take education away from the federal government and give it all to the United States, which in a normal year probably wouldn't be a bad thing. However, some of your states, Republican states, they're pretty extreme, aren't they? But he wants to remove Marxists from the Department of Education.
I'm not exactly sure how he would verify a Marxist.
You'd have to have some sort of registry or something, right?
Maybe we could put a number on them.
Maybe we could make them wear some sort of badge, some sort of ID badge, or maybe a patch we could sew onto their clothes. Maybe a tattoo on their hands.
Yeah.
Ooh,
maybe that
for convenience sake.
But he's going to pursue violation in schools of both the establishment and free exercise clauses, which prohibit the government establishment of religion and protect the citizens' right to practice their own religion, he said. So I think they're going to have a right to practice their own education too. That's what it is.
Ever since prayer was removed from school, there's been there's a vile backlash against it, and they will, if they ever get their chance, these insane Christo-fascists will re-implement theology in the classroom.
Really? Theology in the classroom?
Yeah, it's
yeah.
They want to fully establish a Christian nation, so that we can then further go on to establish what color of Christian should be here.
But that would go against your constitution, where no religion.
Oh no, you don't understand.
We just changed that.
It says freedom of religion, not freedom from religion, which is some fucking conservative bullshit I've heard before.
All right. Well, let's talk about his other plan to replace Affordable Care Act, and he's going to put something in place better. But every Republican since 2020, since Obama put it in, what was that, 2012 or 2008?
Yeah, around there. Yeah.
Has said they were going to reverse it. And they've never been able to put anything better. As a result, though, with all the fighting, you haven't been able to make Obamacare better. You haven't gone to.
Oh, we've made it worse.
Yeah,
you have a mandate.
Yeah, and you have to fill in these government websites forms and stuff. I think it's really hard to get Medicare in the United States.
Yeah, it's fucked up. Sorry, go ahead, Rick.
So if I want to, in Canada, if I want to change provincial healthcare systems, I just phone them and ask them for a number or email them.
Yeah.
That's as simple as that, right? And then you're on there. After 90 days, you're on their provincial healthcare. But out in the United States, man, filling everything in every fall, because I think you have to fill it every fall, right? Or every year or 2 years, the Obamacare?
Yeah, it's every year. You got to reapply.
Like in October.
Why wouldn't it be something where in order to stop it, you have to fill something out? Just keep it running, right?
Right.
Well, I mean, you know
Well,
why.
it's a Republican plan. That's also why Republicans can't come up with
It's
a
an
better
opt-in
one.
program. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally a Republican. That is the Republican, quote unquote fix. So yeah,
Let's go to his gender care. And by gender care, he means he's going to revoke every Biden policy promoting the chemical castration and sexual mutilation of the youth. So it's more of a trans thing. Not allow hospitals and healthcare providers to meet the federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare if they provided chemical or physical gender affirming care to youth.
Oh, he's going to withhold Medicare funds if they don't comply with his standard there.
That's right.
Yeah. And so like there's another thing, like when we read this earlier, that bothers me, and that is like just that kind of language, just being a bigot. The chemical castration, all this sort of shit.
Oh no, that's very effective. That's very effective.
It is. I'm sure it is. But I'm saying, like, I don't like it. I don't like
so he's gonna
really
withhold, let's say, purity blockers, but give them chemical castration instead.
Right. Yeah. It's
You have to be unbelievably poor to qualify for Obamacare as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. If you get subsidies, it's like hardly worth it. Yeah.
Yeah,
really?
I went on the state insurance this year. And they billed me, it was like $139 a month, which is affordable. But then I realized that when we went to do our tax return this year, that they actually pulled out $2,000 out of our tax return to cover the rest that I didn't.
Really?
Oh, yep. Yeah. I forgot they do that.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, I've had to do that before too.
And partially that's because I made too much money to qualify for their lowest income free healthcare. And I didn't realize that when I signed up for it. But yeah, that's if you're anything above poverty subsistence, you're going to be paying for that healthcare. No, even if it comes from the state.
So it's a clawback, right? And clawbacks never work. That's why your Social Security is still in place, because there's no clawback. You make so much money, you don't get it. Everyone gets it.
It's universal. Yes. Sam Cedars often said that too. Like the best way to make policies durable is to make them universal.
Universal.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree 100%.
Yeah. And why fucking not? Because that's no billionaire is fucking signing up for food stamps. If they are, you get them on the back end with taxes. So fine, I don't give a shit. Do what you want.
But so the federal government has few mechanisms to pay people. So they do weird things like tax credits, which is very confusing. When you just say, I'm going to give you $300 a month, people understand what that means. When they say you're going to get a $3,600 tax credit, it means it's a lot more confusing.
Yeah.
It means the same thing, but because of the way the government hands out money, they can't just write you a check.
When you do a tax credit, you have to make enough money to be able to use that credit.
Well, that was one of the better things of the child tax credit is that there was no like minimum income or any of that.
Oh, excellent.
No, it was a universal program.
Mm-hmm.
As it should be. When you claim your child on your taxes
up here, or the child tax credit up in Canada.
Well, like, Bill Gates, he gets the same child tax credit on his taxes that I get on mine, as it should be.
Do you begrudge him? No.
No, it's that universality that continues to allow that credit to exist. Otherwise, people like Bill Gates would say, "Hey, I'm not getting mine here. We need to end the child tax credit."
Right. That way, there's no pressure to do so, and that's how Medicare should be too. Everybody should have it, right? A certain basic comfort level of Medicare.
Are you saying Medicare for many? Medicare for a lot?
All of them.
Medicare for a bunch. Medicare for all.
Medicare for all.
Most.
Well, that sounds like a policy I've heard once or twice before.
Well, how's that working out for you up there in Canada? Are you still waiting for your surgery?
Yeah, well, I
Friend
went
Davy Mammal had to go to the States to get his cancer diagnosed.
this
Otherwise, he
is
would have
true.
died.
Yeah, we've had increasing immigration pressures on our healthcare. In
You've
my
been
case, I
defunding
went
it
and seen a
too.
second specialist who has time on their schedule, so I think I move up to surgery for May instead of waiting 3 years. So that was good.
I've said this on the podcast before, but I'll repeat it now. Like, I was surprised when David Mammal told us, the problems in the Canadian healthcare, because it seems so idyllic to somebody like me who's living under
Sure.
American healthcare. But it's not.
Yeah,
It's
when
not
you have
idyllic.
nothing.
Oh no,
It has a lot of problems.
You're right, and your system
been
is
cutting
dragging
it.
our system because the Canadian healthcare system should be pushed forward and better. However, we get the clause of the American pharmaceutical companies and Medicare people into it that drags it back, right? So we can't. We're lucky to just be waiting in place, right? We're jogging in place with our system. Do I think it's still better than the U.S. system? I do.
Yeah, I would agree, because the U.S. system is entirely determined on whether you can afford health insurance or not, and that isn't the case in
And
Canada.
you're saying if ours, what it sounds like you're saying is if we did have a Medicare for all system, Canada would also be doing better.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We wouldn't get the pressures to drag it back to the 19th century or the early 20th century. That's what I would say. And you guys would be happier. You'd live longer. Like we're still trying to get.
America has discussed a national healthcare system since the turn of the 20th century.
Oh, yeah.
It's been in discussion. It's just there's extreme pushback by for-profit industry.
There is, yes. There is. And Canada is laying out a new dental program, which is nice. But instead of being universal, it's going by your wages. Like if you make under 100, you get
God damn it.
Sort of like 70 or 80% of it paid for. But
yeah.
in over 100, I think you get 20% or something paid for, which it should be universal. I agree with you on that.
Well, yeah, the universality does make it durable, both in a policy stance and then in a cultural stance. Because when people feel like somebody else is getting something they're not, then they fight against it.
Yeah, they do. It's a nature of man, I guess, and womankind.
Well, when I got my carpal tunnel surgery, my physical therapist told me that people from Canada are coming over to get theirs done because they would have waited on a list for 7 years. My friend Colin in the UK is on a list to get his ADHD diagnosed, and he's waiting over a year.
We have pressures, yes, but
also, but versus here in America, if you don't have the money, you just don't go to the doctor ever.
Yeah, you're on a waiting list because you don't have any money. Yeah, I mean, it's the same. The effect is the same.
Right.
If you're poor enough, they'll pay for everything. Thanks, Obama.
That's not true, because I was homeless for 3 fucking years, and actually, when you get under a certain amount, you're locked out of the system as well. So it's really hard to qualify for anything. That's why it's so fucked.
Are you in a right to work state?
Yes.
That's why.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there is a strong correlation between right to work states and extreme brutality on the poor.
Yeah.
Jeez, isn't there? Yeah. But as far as the Canadian health, so you are on a triage list, the worse you are. In Davy's case, he couldn't get it diagnosed to get onto the list. So he had to go to imaging down in Florida, was it? So he did that, brought the images
and he paid
back
for that himself.
And they put him right into the system, which once you're in the system, it works fairly good, right? They are stressed. There's no doubt about it. Our hospitals, our doctors, our nurses are stressed in Canada. But we've just taken in over 1 million people. So
I do see a correlation with the UK, universal healthcare, and their food standard. They notice or they admit that having a terrible food standard puts more people into needing healthcare. Diet-based, diabetes,
Sure.
all
Yeah.
these
I would
things.
agree with
Yeah.
that.
So
Yeah.
their food standard,
Yeah.
it's in their best interest to have a better food standard than America. Well, we profit off of sick people, so why fix our food?
Well, not just
Right.
that, but like there are food companies who are like, why would I sell good food when this other stuff makes me more money?
Yeah. No, I agree. And
You have to
all
have the
the
government come tell the food producers to make them more healthy. They're not going to do it on their own.
well, there's a report on all the processed stuff, like chips and cheesies and stuff like that. There's more sugar in it, and it gives you a sugar rush or a rush in your brain center to make it addictive, right? And then you buy more. It's not good for you. I mean, it's a treat. I like chips, but oh well. So let's move on to the justice system. Trump's promised to use the Department of Justice to attack critics and former allies, and he's promised to take the most corrupt president in the history of the United States of America, Joe Biden, and the entire Biden crime family to court.
Oh, good.
And he's going to obliterate the deep state.
About time.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know what he was doing in his first 4 years with the deep state, but
Yeah.
glad he's finally getting on that.
Okay.
Toying with them.
I mean, this is fun to just take these things apart and discuss. But like, Trump's campaign promises don't mean shit to me. I believe that he will go after his political enemies or his private enemies, but he was going to do that anyways. He didn't have to promise it in the campaign speech.
That's true. That's actually that's very.
He sounds like, in fact, the words he was saying there sound very Nixonian. Like it sounds just like something Richard Nixon would have been chastised for saying and probably wouldn't have said out loud to a public audience.
Well, that's a good point. And he's going to go after Marxist prosecutors, guys, who refuse to charge crimes and surrender the cities to violent criminals. He will take them all down.
Now, when I think of pro-justice Marxists, I always think of prosecuting attorneys.
Right? Me too.
Well,
I really don't think
also he's going to put an end to Democrats' war on police.
Well, it's about time. It's a time. You know what? I say we stop declaring war on the police and we start declaring Operation Freedom on the police.
Yeah, Bill Kunstler was a prosecutor, right?
And he's continued his attacks against member countries of NATO, telling them they can do whatever the hell they want, like countries like Russia, if a member country didn't meet spending guidelines.
Yeah, his ties to Russia are always weird, nebulous,
It's sus.
Sus, yeah.
Right? Yeah, no cap.
Yep, indeed. Sus, no cap.
Yeah, I used it right. Yay.
Yay.
But the one thing that I
Sure.
really want to see from Trump is the new cities and flying cars he's promised.
You know what? I vote for
Yeah, he wants to develop vertical takeoff and landing vehicles for families and individuals, not letting China lead this revolution in air mobility.
Hell yeah.
That's something I get
just
behind.
I mean, just as a person who loves automobiles, I can understand that operating vehicles on two planes, X and Y, is hard enough for me. Throwing in a third plane like Z, or throwing in a third axis like you're just asking for trouble here.
Well, get the kids to do it then, to drive it.
Yeah, you have to. Well,
how old are you, kid? 11? Okay, you got to get in my helicopter and drive me.
And whenever I hear Trump or anyone, be it Joe Biden or anyone, whenever I hear them, spitting rhetoric against China, all I can think of is it's time for really. If that's the case, then why does so much of our manufactured goods come from there? Why do so many of our big companies like Walmart prop up the Chinese economy by buying nothing but their finest goods there? It's time to, if you really mean it, if you really mean that China's a threat, then it's time to get out of bed with China.
Well, yeah, that's our whole.
But they don't mean it. It's
collapse.
just jingoism designed to spread fear and maybe war.
Mm-hmm. Plus, the fact that with Nixon was right and Kissinger, believe it or not, bringing China into the economy has settled them down from being a nuisance in the world, even to the point of they haven't openly backed Russia because they don't want to lose their economy. However, we know they're given Russia some things, but you know, not the whole
not
Chinese
sure.
military armament.
Not sure what you're implying there. Like if they backed Russia, the U.S. would withdraw from their economy. Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying.
There's no way. Our two economies are so intrinsically tied together. There's no possible way that could be done. It's impossible.
Well, don't tell China. Just let them think.
It would be bad for us. But, yeah.
I mean, well, if I know that, then China knows that. Like,
right. And then that those shoes that 9-year-old made you, you'd rather have those than a 10-year-old Mexican boy making you shoes?
Well, you know.
I know.
I really prefer my shoes to be made in the Philippines.
There you go.
Yep.
Well, Trump's also promised to roll back new car pollution rules. And he wants to cancel every job-killing regulation that is crushing American auto workers, including the electric vehicle industry.
Mm-hmm. Which is being built by American auto workers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he omits that.
There's no jobs. We're taking jobs away. That's cool.
Well,
now I'm not an Elon Musk guy, and I don't want to stand up for Tesla and their often poorly made vehicles. But there's a startup automobile company that's employing, I don't know, 100,000 Americans building vehicles in America right now that wasn't here, 15 years ago.
Do you have a name?
And none of those vehicles burn gas. So,
And
you want to put those people out of work, Trump?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know at a couple of those aforementioned factories that closed around here, around the due to the Trump, not sanctions, but sorry,
his ability not to do things.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought.
Oh, okay.
I fucked up.
That's okay. So Trump's also promised to reduce energy prices by increasing domestic production, which something Obama did. And we're going to drill, baby, drill right away, Trump told the crowd in Iowa. Also,
I remember what I was going to say. Sorry. I was just going to say, so a couple of those aforementioned factories around here that closed due to Trump's policies are now battery factories.
Are they?
For
lithium battery?
Cars. Yeah.
You're right. Right on.
So anyway, yeah.
Which is going to be the next thing we're going to be talking about in the future. How do we recycle lithium batteries and yada yada. However, we're sticking to Trump. Now Trump's promised to impose the stiff penalties on China and other trade abusers, which is probably not bad. He shook the economy and China when he was in office, and the North American Free Trade Act. So in that way, he probably gets some kudos, right? However, I don't know how much of a better North American Free Trade Act we got now. So I remember when that was being done, and I thought, oh, don't do it, boys, don't do it. But he's going to take Biden's executive order directing the federal government to target the firearms industry and rip it up and throw it out on day one. He's not going to infringe on citizens' Second Amendment rights.
What specific policy is he referring to?
Yeah, that's a good one.
He's going to tear
I think Biden came out with some can only have so many bullets in a gun, that sort of thing. Don't quote me though.
Yeah, well,
but anything that's just fodder for the masses. I'm going to protect your Second Amendment rights.
Well, yeah.
But equity is going to create a special team to review every action taken by federal agencies under Biden's equity agenda. So he's going to have equity police.
Yeah, fuck equity. Equity.
He's going to fire staffers hired to implement the policy.
Yes, why would you want equal treatment?
That's actually true. That is true. So, so are you any closer? Like with Biden stuff, I tried searching on the internet. I'm sure it's there, but it's not on his president's website about what his promises are this term. Is he gonna fulfill his promises from last term? Is that how this is working?
No.
No.
No,
No,
he still
the
owes me
promises-
$600.
Yeah, all the promises he made, to the extent that he filled them, he revoked them. So that's like
He doesn't
twice
even-
as bad.
He can't remember back to 2020. Are you nuts?
Well, I'm not sure Trump can either, except when he was
No.
a star.
That's something that like is not being talked about enough, and that is everybody's talking about Biden's mental decline, and it's there, but Trump has an obvious mental decline as well, and we're just sort of not discussing it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree.
Some I don't know what some website I saw, they were like, if you look, you'll see that often mainstream media will use the 2016 picture of Trump. They won't show a modern picture of Trump.
He's ballooned
Yeah, it's
out a
always
little
the same
bit,
picture.
hasn't he?
Once again,
Biden tried to use OSHA to make 80 million Americans get the vaccines or lose their jobs. With Biden, we've seen 40-year high inflation. Biden's dead in the water. People don't want him. They want Trump back.
well, you might be right. I don't know that people want Trump back, but I don't think they want Joe Biden. I don't think they ever did. There wasn't a lot of enthusiasm before. He got massive votes in 2020 because we were experiencing the highest
2,000 people were
unemployment.
dying.
We had a pandemic going on, the highest unemployment this country had seen since the Great Depression. Like people were sick of Trump at that point, but people have never had any sort of enthusiasm for Joe Biden.
No, I remember in the Democratic primary in 2020, like pretty much explicitly running against or campaigning against Joe Biden. Like when I would call people for Bernie, I'd be like, look, we don't want to end up with Joe fucking Biden as our president. I would say that. Yeah, anyway.
Also, I'm hearing
13 Americans that got blown up in Afghanistan. People were still mad about that.
Oh, not me.
Well, are you
I don't care
talking?
about that.
And what about Benghazi and Hillary? Right?
You know what? Hillary lied. People died.
Is that where that came from?
That's true.
I don't know where it came from. It might as well have come from.
Yeah, no, that's true. I just think so you've got Cornel West running as a third party, RFK running as a third party. Jill Stein is running for the Green Party, apparently.
Is she?
And then you have Joe Biden and you have Donald Trump. So you have choices, America.
I don't believe RFK will pull more than 1% in the final general election. But I'm surprised at the traction he's getting amongst just in my anecdotal interviewing of people around me. I'm not Joe Biden. I've got certain good ideas. Nobody's going to discuss all my terrible ideas. Approach to campaigning is winning over people who are sick of both the other candidates.
Right. Well, I
And
just put a
Cornel
chart
West.
up, and it shows that Joe Biden at 38.4%, Donald at 41.1%, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at 12.4%, Cornel West at 2.4%, and Jill Stein at 1.8%, and other is at 3.9%, beating both Jill and Cornel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Cornel West is gonna even be able to get on a lot of ballots.
No, it doesn't look like it.
So, yeah.
No, that's not a real campaign. And I didn't even realize Jill Stein was running this time.
I never realized that at all till last week.
But RFK, you say 12%. That's a magic number. It doesn't mean anything. When people actually come down to vote, they're not going to throw their vote away on a guy they barely ever heard.
I don't know. I wish he would have. If Trump had ran a third party, or if RFK had continued to run as a Democrat, then things would be interesting. But it didn't shake out.
True, but what's happened with Super Tuesday of last week, was it? Both Biden and Trump got enough delegates to lead their parties. So that's why I
Yeah.
think Robert Kennedy left.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Well,
he's looking at a libertarian or independent.
yeah, I thought he was already running as an independent. I don't think he's running as a Democrat anymore. He
No.
wasn't even last week. I don't think.
Wow.
I think.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
he's
several weeks ago, he stopped being a Democrat.
Well, you seen
like
the writing on the wall, right?
he announced that he was switching parties, he was brought on Fox News to be demonized. Like the day he announced that he got in on Fox News that day, and you're like, remember when you said like that a Green New Deal would be like a good idea? Care to explain yourself? And all that shit. Anyway, funny. Like the second he was no longer useful to them, they had to like, yeah.
That's exactly how it goes too. Plus, Trump's made inroads with Fox News again, so he's getting favorable coverage. So here we go. It's like a repeat of last time with Joe and Trump in the lead. And but it has some concerns. Is Trump's in the lead by a couple of percentage points? So, like, what the heck, America? What are you doing? Is it really that hard between the two? Must be, eh? They're running dead heat.
Well, look, this general elections are often decided by people who don't vote in other elections and pay very little to politics, pay little attention to politics otherwise. But what they do vote on is like, damn it, do I feel better than I did last year? Does this guy who's been running the country, is he doing a good job or not? And clearly, Americans don't think Joe Biden's doing a good job.
Okay, during COVID, so the one question I want to ask you is this: during COVID, Trump was he was dreadful on COVID. I would think. Don't you think Joe Biden's policies were a little better than Trump's?
I just don't think it matters.
I don't think people even remember that anymore. I think that's like a non-issue for most people now, honestly. Like it shouldn't be, but I think, and like regardless of the truth.
Yeah, you don't remember the $300 he gave you. You're wondering where the $600 is that he still owes you.
Yeah, and like like Rick was saying, people just who don't normally vote, or aren't, and probably most people who vote probably don't really know that much about the policies, or you know what I mean? They're going on like, and so yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, thank you very much for the chat, guys. I appreciate it. Not being an American, though the American elections are crucial to how Canada and Europe and Asia conduct their business. We'll have another kick at the cat down the road, wondering who's the best. Obviously, the American people don't know who the best is because the polls are neck and neck. So I'm just gonna tell America good luck. Vote harder. Take care. Bye.